And we're live. Shouts out to everybody in the chat. Shouts out to all of my viewers. You are definitely going to find some value in this comparison because it's very particular. So like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so I can keep bringing you this content that more and more people are starting to enjoy. Now, USA Women speak for women, but they should speak for Western women only. Why do I say that? Why is that the title? Well, I'm going to give you a comparison. One with a lady named Tynisha from Tynisha Talks. She has a great channel. Brothers, go, or anyone watching my show, go and like and subscribe to her channel. She has very good information, even though she's a little off in how she speaks. I think it's just kind of a method of speaking. I don't know. Well, I don't know. Western women really do see the world only through their eyes and everybody else is other. And they're kind of self-centered. Like it all starts with them and then flows outwards. But not all women are that way. And I'm going to prove it here. But let's get to what she's talking about and see what I mean. Here we go.
So why are women struggling with listening to men? Men, you guys are very vocal on my platform. I hear y'all. And one of the common complaints is that men are willing to...
First, let me say, not all women are struggling to listen to men. There are plenty of women outside the United States and Western culture that don't struggle at all. They will listen to you. They will adjust. They will take it in consideration. They will come to you and ask you what you meant, how they took it, and how they can be better. That's my first point. Here we go.
Vocalize what they want or what they don't like, but women are not receptive to such feedback. I came across...
And everything that you hear, just substitute it with Western women or American women or something of that nature, so you get to point modern women, and then it will all make sense, and she has very relevant information.
Across this article titled 6 Reasons Why You're a Bad Listener and How to Change It. Reason number 3, you have preconceptions and biases. If you have preconceptions and biases about someone, it can stop you from listening to them. I think it's time for us to truly unpack some of the deep-rooted issues that we have when it comes to trusting men. I'm not a psychologist, but my hypothesis is that a lot of women are struggling with deep-rooted issues when it comes to trusting men. Therefore,
now, needless to say, if you just put modern Western women on everything she's saying, then what she's saying is very accurate. Just remember to do that as she speaks. And then, she's very credible. But just understand there are a lot of women in other different types of cultures who lean on men, who depend on men, and they don't have these deep-seated issues. Maybe a lot of that's cultural. Western society does teach women to be, teaches all people to be individualistic, which causes them to only see their issues going forward. It starts with them and it flows out from there. Everything is second to them. So when a woman has that sort of situation, she runs into all these problems that Tynisha is going to explain. Let's listen.
or the perspective or the bias that a lot of women have is that men can't be trusted. I have to always be on guard. I can't trust anything that you say. And if I don't trust anything that you say, I don't take you seriously. So it's easy for me to just brush it off. I know that I talk about childhood a lot, but how can we not talk about childhood when it shapes so much of who we are today? Ladies, please chime in the comments. But I'm curious to know if women who don't have a healthy bond with your father. Whether the father was physically absent, emotionally absent, mentally absent, just not a stable paternal figure that she would look up to as a role model to lead her, guide her, and steer her in the right direction. If some of that is entangled in the trust issues, in other words, my dad wasn't shit. I couldn't trust him to be a reliable figure in my life. He might have done more harm than good. And so now the men that I meet moving forward, whether I realize it or not, are a reflection of my father.
Okay, now remember, the USA has the most single mothers on earth. They're number one country, right? And so those daughters are growing up with a skewed and negative relationship with their fathers, and there's nothing fathers can do because of the court system. And then, no fault divorce. We could go on and on. We've talked about this before. So when you compare China, who's got 3% single mothers, and you got the USA that's got like 23%, it's almost like a quarter of them are single mothers, then now you can understand how in society Western women feel this way towards their fathers, and it has the effect on them in a negative capacity in how they deal with men. Extrapolate that out to a whole society, 300 million people. Oh, yeah, it's starting to make sense what's going on in Western culture. Okay, let's keep it moving.
Reason number 4, your ego gets in the way. Your ego tells you, I'm really smart. How much do I need to listen to this person? It prevents you from listening to people you think are intellectually or socially inferior. You got a big ego. Ego has all of us in a chokehold. There have been numerous studies that show that people who tend to have overinflated or grandiose egos are actually the people who are the most insecure. Insecurity is a thing that I personally believe a lot of people are struggling with, but we are not comfortable with admitting that we're struggling. And so that insecurity manifests itself in multiple different ways. Ego is something that I think prohibits a lot of men from being able to listen.
Okay, before we get to the men, once again, the ego of the Western woman and their education, and they think they're intellectually superior. But when you look at the interviews and the podcasts, it's clear that they're not. They'll also say they make more money than men, and that's clear that they don't as well. Just look at the stats. But, like I said, Western culture gives us an individualistic society, right? So their inflated ego, their ability to be delusional to the point where they think they're intellectually superior is really propagated from, the Western society. Women outside of the country and traditional cultures, they never speak this way. I've lived abroad since 2015. I've never encountered the same type of ego. Okay, now she's shifting it to men. We'll speed through that, but they're always got to blame men a little bit.
To women. There are a lot of men, whether they want to realize it or not, who view women as being inferior. Maybe you see women as being emotionally unstable. You feel like women aren't as logical. Whatever the viewpoint is on women, a lot of it can be connected back to the fact that you just see women as less than. I have literally...
Okay, I'll admit this a little, but it's still relevant to the Western women. I don't think traditional women are inferior at all. They know their role, their lane, and that they have a position to play. They engage with men with the proper chemistry. And when they don't, when they get out of pocket and they think they're the center of the universe, and they think their education, which most times the education is done to deflect your identity, especially women who look like this with melanated. It deflects your identity, your history. It's a lot of misdirection. A lot of them don't even know their true history, but they're highly educated. The propaganda is really heavy. The indoctrination is really heavy. So, yeah, I admit there probably are a lot of men who think that Western women, maybe melanated women, when they're out of pocket and the boss babe mentality, are a little inferior. because they don't know what's going on. They have no ability to be successful with a man and, able to create winning families or successful families. So if they're not able to do that and they're always having these problems with all men or all Western men, and then the other men from other countries don't want to deal with them, then yeah, maybe men do perceive them as a little bit inferior because they've been caught up in the female supremacy movement. But traditional women who engage with the proper chemistry with a man, men don't see them as inferior at all. They see them as a helpmate. They see them as someone to take care of. They love them. They, lead them. They want to be with them. So they don't see all women as inferior, but they may see boss babes, women who are really caught up in this propaganda, as inferior because they allowed themselves to be manipulated.
Really gotten comments on my videos from men who said that they don't listen when women tell them what they want because they feel like women aren't capable of knowing what they truly want. And I'm not saying that all men are the same, but I think it's something that's worth reflecting on. It's always interesting to me when I hear men complain about the fact that women don't listen without being able to see that men tend to not listen as well. Just a couple of months ago, you may remember that Just Pearly Things, who was highly favored by men, faced a lot of criticism for some insensitive, asinine, ignorant comments that she made. Women pointed out that Just Pearly Things seemed like she was capping, like she was pandering, she wasn't genuine. And men also did not listen. A lot of the
Now, I agree with that. Just Pearly Things definitely panders to men, no doubt about it. And she took the entire playbook from Kevin Samuels. 100%. Everything. Even the wife school idea. Like everything. However, she's not lying. She's not lying. Derek Jackson's flat out lying. Pearly Things isn't lying. She's just being disingenuous and using facts that work, but yeah, she's not really real. But everything she said, just remember, catered this to Western women. Everything she's talking about is about Western women, and then it all makes sense how she relates to men. Right after this video, or I'm done reacting, I'm going to show you another perspective.
Friction between men and women boils down to this need to be right. And the need to be right is something that I actively struggle with, okay? I'm not perfect. God is definitely working on me. And for the longest time, I couldn't understand why I always felt like I needed to be right, why I had to have the last word. It turns out that the need to be right is linked to having a fragile ego, and it's also linked to the fear of abandonment. People who suffer from anxiety of abandonment are often overly sensitive to criticism, tend to take measures to avoid rejection, and work hard to please other people. I just want all of us to unpack our traumas. We do so many things that put us in a vicious cycle. Overperforming. Now, the irony of this is that people who always feel like they need to be right tend to be off-putting to people. And so that's probably going to make people not want to stick by you. So you're moving in a way that doesn't really match what your end goal is.
Okay, and that's why a lot of men feel like Western women are inferior, because you're moving in the way that doesn't give you the outcome that you want, which is, I hate to say it, it's a bit inferior. It's a flawed mentality, which, means that your train of thought, your critical thinking skills, your ability to weigh outcomes is not up to snuff, and you're not listening. I mean, I can see if you're not getting the information at all, but you're choosing this way of interacting and engaging and having a mentality that is not giving you the outcome that you want. And people are literally constantly telling you better methods to give you the outcome that you want, and you choose not to. You go with the propaganda instead. That is not an equal. I'm sorry. That is a bit inferior. So men only feel that way towards the women who are falling for that, but those are the Western women. So it is what it is. The need to be right is once again self-centered. Starts with yourself and how you feel, and then you engage from an outwardly standpoint. So the man is just across from you. He's not a part of you. You're not a part of him. You're not. It's just self-centered. You start with yourself, and everyone is in your world. You're not in their world. So that's the problem. Now let me show you the flip side to it.
We Filipinas, if you have a partner, of course, if you want to have a good relationship with your partner, are you going to insist and argue with him? And,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that we will just say yes or no because we are, uneducated, illiterate. We don't care what our feelings is, but I think it's our way to, because we choose peace ba?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, hold on. She uses certain words when she says, yeah, if you have a partner, of course, or obviously, of course you want to get along with him. You don't want to argue. But that seems so obvious to them, but it's such a struggle for Western women. So who's inferior? Someone's got to be. Someone has to be on the money and accurate and correct, and someone has to be oblivious and foolish and not getting it done. Someone has to pass and someone has to fail. Who's passing with men and who's failing? Let's look again. Let's look again. Let's see what she says.
Partner, of course, like especially here in the Philippines. But I think they named the word wrong. We Filipinas, if you have a partner, of course, if you want to have a good relationship with your partner, are you going to insist and argue with him? And,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that we will just say yes.
The outcome that she wants is to have a good relationship. And she's like, of course. Are you going to insist and argue with him? Well, the outcome that Western women want is a good relationship as well and to build a good family. But they're not getting the outcomes. They can't figure it out. So someone's got to be passing and someone's got to be failing. Maybe the word inferior is wrong, but someone is accurate and someone is inaccurate. Someone's passing, someone's failing. Someone is a great choice and someone is a not good choice. No matter how you look at it, brothers got to make the right decision. Men have got to make the right decision. And if you can't tell what the right decision is with this contrast in these two videos, these are just both two YouTubers giving their perspective. If you can't figure it out to get a passport and go to where these women treat you well, or you want to stay here and decide that these women, because they have melanin, are beyond reproach. I was listening to Travel Time with Paul, and I had brothers on the panel talking about you can't say nothing about sisters on YouTube, and that makes you a sucker and all this kind of mess. Nah, man, I'm sorry. You should be able to literally analyze what they're saying, break down their comments, and decide what's best for you. And you don't have to tear them down and be harsh, but to be critical and honest is real, and it's what an intelligent thinking man should and will do. Let's keep it moving. Let's look at what she says.
Yes or no because we are uneducated, illiterate. We don't care what our feelings is, but I think it's our way to, because we choose peace ba?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just-
Instead of fighting, why not choose peace? We Filipinas, we have this culture that um, yeah, we are hospitable, we are friendly, we try our best to avoid
Arguments.
arguments, fighting. So I don't think that's
Me personally, submissive. I don't think it's just like I don't believe that submissive means like praising your man or like
Yeah.
bow your head to your man or
Yeah.
worshiping your man. For me, submissive is more on like honoring your husband, let him the lead of the family
yeah.
like that.
True.
She says it doesn't mean bowing down and bowing your head, but it means honoring your husband and letting him be the lead of the family. Now, is that the right decision for a man to go towards that type of mentality? Or is it the right decision for a man to go to a woman who has a need to be right and has an inflated ego and thinks that she's intellectually superior to you? Says things that aren't statistically accurate. Like they make more money than men and they're out here the ones being the bread. That's nonsense.
and honor his decision, but doesn't mean that you don't have an opinion when he
Yeah.
makes decision. Of course, we still open when like Gary, like if he makes decision, he always talk to me about it first.
Yeah.
And I will share my opinion. Of course, he still be the last. The decision would be comes to him. So
Yes.
anyway.
So you hear how they say, of course? She says he asked my opinion and before he makes a decision and I give my input, but of course the final decision comes to him. It rests with him. They don't speak English exactly the way that we do, but we can definitely understand what we're talking about. And that's exactly what matches up chemistry wise with what these Western men, these passport bros, are talking about. If people can't figure out why men get passport and travel, and these silly men, these plantation bros, are getting on the internet talking all this silly stuff about how they can get women and you can't get them in the West and all this stuff, man, brothers don't want these women in the West. It ain't a matter of getting them, whether you can or can't. They don't want them. They want the women who are accurate and have chemistry in this man-woman thing so that we can build families. I'm going to stop it right there. I don't want this video to get too long. Shout out to everybody in the chat. If you found value in this video, give me a like and subscribe. Comment below if you agree with me or disagree with me. And let's have an honest dialogue. If you think sisters or Western women are beyond reproach and you need to be able to figure out a way to get them no matter how they behave, let me hear it. If you think that traditional women, no matter where they are, Africa, South America, Asia, no matter where they are a better fit for the Western man until these Western women figure it out. Right now, they don't got it figured out. But until they do, what's the best example? What's the best answer? Let me know. This has been Gamma with Gamma Effect coming at you with another video. I appreciate you all. Shout out to have a good day.